You think you're in control of your life. Most people do. You wake up, make plans, go to work, make choices, and assume that because you're moving, you're steering. But here's the uncomfortable question most people never stop to ask. If you were really in control, why does your life feel like it's drifting? Adam was 32 years old when this question began haunting him, though at the time he didn't have the words for it. All he knew was that something felt off. His days blended into each other in a way that made time feel both heavy and empty at the same time. He worked a job he never wanted, not because he loved it, but because it paid the bills, and changing felt exhausting. Every morning he woke up already tired, not from lack of sleep but from the quiet dread of repeating the same day again. At work, he sat through meetings pretending to care. He nodded at the right moments, smiled when expected, and counted the minutes until he could leave. When the day finally ended, he didn't feel relief. He felt numb. To cope with that numbness, he leaned on habits he didn't feel proud of. Alcohol in the evenings, cigarettes throughout the day, little escapes that promised relief but quietly demanded more in return. Over time, the irritability crept in. Small things set him off. A comment, a delay, a question asked the wrong way. His girlfriend noticed first. She tried to be patient, but patience has limits when someone is emotionally absent. Eventually, she packed her things and left. Adam didn't fight it. He didn't chase her. He just stood there, watching the door close, feeling strangely hollow rather than devastated. The apartment felt different after that. Too quiet, too empty. The nights were the hardest. When there was nothing left to distract him, his mind turned inward. Regrets replayed themselves. Worries multiplied. Anxiety kept him awake long after his body begged for rest. He would lie there staring at the ceiling, feeling like his life was slipping past him without his permission. Adam wasn't weak. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't a bad person. He was someone who had been coping for so long that he had forgotten what living actually felt like. One night, sitting on the edge of his bed with a drink in his hand that he didn't even want anymore, a thought surfaced that scared him with its calmness. Would it actually matter if I didn't wake up tomorrow? The moment the thought formed, the room seemed to fall silent. The noise of the city faded. The weight in his chest grew heavier. When he looked up, someone was standing near the door. The figure wasn't dramatic. No darkness, no menace. Just calm. Almost ordinary. Adam's voice shook as he spoke. "Who are you?" "I am the angel of death," the figure replied. "And you've been calling for me every night for a year." Adam froze. With the smoke, the angel continued, with the drink, with the silence. "I'm just answering the invitation." Adam swallowed hard. "I don't want to die," he said quietly. The angel tilted his head slightly. "Then why do you want to live?" The question hit harder than fear ever could. Adam searched for an answer and realized he didn't have one. After a long pause, he finally whispered, "I want another chance." The angel nodded. "You can have one, but there is a condition." Adam listened, barely breathing. "If you choose to live," the angel said, "your life will grow when you act honestly, and it will shrink when you act against yourself." Adam hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." "Then live in a way that keeps you alive." And just like that, the figure vanished. The room looked exactly the same. The walls, the bed, the half-empty glass. But Adam didn't feel the same. Something had shifted. For the first time in a long time, he understood that his life was not infinite, and that realization changed everything. In the days that followed, nothing external changed. His job was still there. His apartment still felt quiet. But the question lingered in his mind, why do you want to live? Before life became overwhelming, Adam used to read. One book resurfaced in his memory, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Frankl, a psychologist who survived the concentration camps, wrote that people can endure almost anything if they have a reason to live. Adam bought a notebook and began writing, "Who actually needs me?" He wrote down his parents, his younger brother, a few friends he'd drifted from. What responsibilities have I been avoiding? His health, promises he never kept to himself, honest conversations he was afraid to have. Which values do I believe in but don't live by? Patience, discipline, kindness, honesty. Then he reached the hardest question. Who am I when no one is watching? The answer stung. Someone who avoids discomfort. Someone who runs from responsibility. Someone I wouldn't respect. But instead of crushing him, the truth steadied him. When anxiety showed up, he returned to those notes. Slowly, something shifted. Meaning gave his mind direction. His thoughts became less chaotic. He spoke more honestly. The fog began to thin. He didn't feel in control yet, but for the first time, he felt awake. Adam understood why he wanted to live, but he still felt trapped. The heaviness hadn't fully lifted. One morning, Instead of going straight to work, he wandered into a quiet cafe and sat alone with a cup of coffee. At the table beside him, a young woman spoke passionately about a book called The Courage to be Disliked. She explained that it was based on the ideas of Alfred Adler, a psychologist who believed that people are not controlled by their past, but by the goals they choose in the present. Adam listened closely. Adler argued that people often use their past as an excuse to justify staying stuck. Trauma, mistakes, and upbringing become tools to defend current behavior, not because the past forces you to be, because clinging to it feels safer than change. Adam saw himself clearly in that moment. He had lived as if his childhood defined him. Strict parents, emotional distance, approval that had to be earned. Those experiences shaped him, yes, but they didn't have to imprison him. His belief had always been, this is who I am because of what happened. Adler offered a different lens. Who you become depends on what you choose now. Adam began changing small things. He drank less, smoked less, took short walks in the morning, cleaned one corner of his apartment instead of avoiding the whole mess. Each choice was small, but each one was a declaration. I can choose again. Emotionally, something still felt incomplete. One night he stumbled upon a video of Albert Camus talking about the absurdity of life. The universe doesn't promise meaning, but even in uncertainty, the present moment is real. Adam stepped onto his balcony, felt the cool air, heard distant traffic. Nothing extraordinary, but it grounded him. Later, he encountered Jean-Paul Sartre's idea of bad faith, the lie we tell ourselves when we pretend we have no control. Avoiding responsibility is seductive because it removes blame, but it also removes power. Adam recognized how often he'd watched his life instead of living it, so he acted differently, updated his resume, set boundaries, took responsibility for his choices. Things improved, until they didn't. Months later, he lost his job. The old habits returned quietly, one drink, then another. Soon he was back on the edge of his bed, glass in hand, and once again the room grew still. The angel appeared. I didn't come because you fell, the angel said. I came because you stopped choosing. That was the truth Adam needed. Life didn't demand perfection, it demanded participation. He poured the drink out, not starting over, continuing. Adam kept going, studying stoicism, letting go of what he couldn't control, building community, helping others. Life became steadier, not perfect, but real. And the final lesson became clear. Control was never about eliminating pain. It was about choosing honesty again and again. You will fail, you will slip, but as long as you choose again, your life expands. You think you're in control. You're not until you decide to be, and that is what it truly means to live.